Andrei Kuzmenko might be too old for the Calder, but that doesn't mean we're not going to pump his tires. On today's episode of Locked On Canucks, it's Begsy, it's Bowen, and you're listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello there, dear listener, and thanks for hitting the play button on today's episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, writer and part-time credentialed media member for Daily High Vancouver. And before we dive into the show today, we want to thank you for making Locked On Canucks your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, where the best way you can help us grow is to listen every day and subscribe. I'm joined by my co-host. As always, I want to ask how you're feeling today because I think Canucks Nation is not very happy about the win last night. But Kyle Bowen, how you doing, buddy?
Begsy, come on, man. You know it's not about me, okay? It's about the people. It's about the comments. We got to start with them, then I'll tell you about myself, okay? Let's read a couple comments, get talking about the Canucks because, again, it's not about you and I. It's about them. First comment we got here. What happens if Connor, and I think he's talking about Bedard, only wants to come to the Canucks? Now, this sounds fun. It sounds fun and dandy, and it's a bit of a wish for me too. But then you look back at what happened with Eric Lindros and the Quebec Nordiques and that trade with the Philadelphia Flyers, and it was a haul. So, in my opinion, if that happens and Connor Bedard holds out on whoever drafts him, that team that drafted him is only going to want Elias Pettersson in a trade like that for real.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it goes down because the Canucks don't really have any other prime assets worth trading. I mean, if you want to look at that trade for Eric Lindros, and I pulled it up because, I knew that question was coming from you. That was an interesting comment. That trade for Eric Lindros, it was Peter Forsberg, 2 first-round picks, a young Mike Ricci, a good two-way forward, tough guy Chris Simon, an aging Ron Hextall, Steve Duchesne, who was an older guy. It was just an absolute haul. But I think at the bare minimum, if you're trying to pull a trade for Connor Bedard, the Canucks are trading 2 future first-round picks. They're trading whoever they pick, hopefully in the top 10 in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they're probably trading Elias Pettersson.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? It doesn't really make any sense. Connor Bedard's fine and dandy, but
no, he's more than fine and dandy.
Yeah, he's more than fine and dandy. But are you gonna mortgage your whole entire future for one player? I mean, look, the Philadelphia Flyers, when they made that trade, they probably regret it. Let's be honest. Because I mean, they had a couple, they won a few rounds with Eric Lindros on their roster, but they never made it to the Cup final.
Did they make it to the Cup final against Detroit? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh, in 97, yeah, they got swept by Detroit in the Stanley Cup final. Yeah, my bad. So they did make it to one Cup final.
It almost worked out.
But meanwhile, the team they traded with, the Quebec Nordiques, they turned to the Colorado Avalanche, and they go on to win multiple Stanley Cups. So, I mean, who really won that trade? I think we know that it was the Quebec Nordiques / Colorado Avalanche. So, yeah, it's fun to hypothesize about a potential Bedard to Vancouver trade, but in reality, they're giving up a lot for one player.
They are. One more comment, and thanks for leaving the comments. We're nothing, again, without you. I'm not going to read all of this, but they were pretty much saying that the Canucks don't need to worry about the draft. They need to keep doing what they're doing. That's building their fundamentals and building that blue line. And this person was open to trading another first for another young, under 25, solid defenseman. Begsy, you're that guy with the brain. Who would be one of those candidates? Let's say the Canucks, again, finish the year strong this season. And you know what I'm saying? They finished a little strong and they're drafting 12th or 13th. You saw last year what the Islanders did for Romanov. Do you see a player out there that could garner the Canucks first round pick? And could a trade like that happen for a defenseman? Because I don't want it to happen, but hey, this person and probably Canucks management, because you never know what them could do something like that.
Yeah, I see this being pretty far-fetched. I mean, again, the Canucks are picking in the top 10 this year's draft. What team is going to part with an under 25 defenseman? I'm even looking right now, Connor Miller from the New York Rangers. He was picked as a late first round pick, but he's probably what you're going to get for, let's say, an 8th to 9th overall pick right now. Even going back to last year, Alexander Romanov goes from the Montreal Canadiens to the New York Islanders, virtually in exchange for the 13th overall pick. I know it was a three-way trade with Kirby Dach, but it was virtually the 13th overall pick for Alexander Romanov. And I will say Alexander Romanov, statistically, not having a great season. Analytically, not having a great season. He throws the body around, but I think that was a pretty bad trade for the 13th overall pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I'm looking at this list of defensemen under 25. Like, do you trade? Would the Islanders do it for Noah Dobson? Would they do the reverse? I doubt it. And again, Noah Dobson is a bit more offensively inclined, not quite as good defensively. Canucks are just better off keeping the pick,
Yeah.
for their cycle. I mean, yeah, there's just no one that really stands out to me as being a realistic target in that under 25 range.
Yeah.
Because again, even the teams like, Tampa Bay's got Mikhail Sergachev, who's signed for 8.5 million a year, I think, starting next season. He's making more money than Quinn Hughes. But why would Tampa Bay trade him for a top 10 pick when they're trying to win Stanley Cups here? So I just don't see a fit for giving up that kind of value. I don't see a fit. Like, the Stars aren't moving Miro Heiskanen, It's
Yeah.
and I will say I believe that commenter mentioned Brett Pesce.
Okay, there you go.
As
A more reasonable guy, like probably a little bit better than Hronek, like probably like a step better, like consistently
defensively for
yeah,
sure.
defensively, and he's been doing it for a bit longer than Hronek. That's like a player that you could see kind of move maybe for a top 15 pick and maybe throw in a second. But can we not put this stuff out there, Bexy? Can we just talk about Kuzmenko for real, dude? Let's not even go down that path, man. Again, thanks for the comments. We're always going to start the show with the comments because it's all about you. But enough of that, bro.
Yeah, I want to bring up one more point on that quick though. So I mean, the commenter mentioned Brett Pesce, and now there's a defenseman, David Reinbacher. Great name, by the way.
Ooh,
A big, towering Austrian right shot
okay.
defenseman. He's projected to go in the top half of the draft. I mean, that is the kind of player in that mold of a defensive defenseman who's big and mobile and shoots right. Like, that is exactly the kind of player you want in this organization. So if you have a chance to draft him, why are you going to go out and trade for a guy who costs $8.5 million already? You got to find these value deals, because if you just keep trading draft picks for guys who cost a lot of money, you're going to keep spinning your wheels. So
Yeah. No, 100%.
not
100%.
strategy.
100%.
Not strategy.
And
Now,
again, yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
continue. We don't have to
you
talk
could
about it.
argue it wasn't the right strategy to re-sign Andrei Kuzmenko to that extension, but damn, is he a fun hockey player to watch, man.
That's the best word, bro. Bexy, that's one of the best words to describe him. And fun matters, especially in an organization like this where seats are beginning to be more vacant at Rogers Arena, for real, because the team's not winning a
Yeah.
lot. They're not that fun. And fun needs to happen. Again, I'm going to reference another podcast. Hey, man, West Coast bias here, man. We love everyone here on the West Coast, right? The West Coast Express, Scott Rinsel, Go Goat Sports. They talked about how that was big for the organization. Yeah, they want to win, they want to get in, but they want to start by having fun on the ice so people would come to the games. And Kuzmenko, he's so skilled, bro. He sees the game so differently, but at the same time, I think he's allowed to do that because of his personality. He's lighthearted and
Yeah.
he doesn't take life so seriously. And yeah, I know it's the NHL and you gotta the fundamentals, but man, oh man, you see this guy do it in year one in the hardest league in the world with the best hockey players in the world. And yeah, it should be talked about by more people in the NHL because this dude is really, really, really good at hockey. And yeah, 5 million per, was it 5 plus? What was it?
5.5 for 2 years after this
5.5
season.
for 2 years. Is it the right time for the Canucks to make a deal like that? Should they have traded him? Possibly, but that is a steal and there's so much value there. And even if they trade him down the road, they're going to get a lot more for him. But to be honest, I just feel as if he's a great dude to have right beside Pettersson because Pettersson he's got that little bit of captain serious to him for real. So I like the mix. And I'm just really, really appreciative towards Kuzmenko and how he's embraced the city. And I feel as if he's probably been like Pettersson's been the best player. Don't get me wrong, but there's something about the excitement that Kuzmenko brings on and off the ice that just puts smiles on faces. And right now that's important. That's important for our people because this organization is the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, and like I said, fun on the ice and a fun interview as well. You know, if I had cleaner audio from the dressing room after the game, you know, because your boy Beggs, you got to go last night. You know, got to be
Good
in that
job. Good
dressing
job.
room. It's
Good
not a
job.
big deal. It's a fun
Good job.
time.
Good job.
But I got to shout out Chris Faber. He asked some great questions to to Kuzmenko, and Vitaly Kravtsov was there as the translator last night. But you know, he was basically asking about, you know, he was giving sticks to kids before the game, and Faber asked him about it. And he just said, oh, something along the lines of, oh, I like to see the smiles on their faces. You know, like when you see the smiles, like how can you not give them a stick?
Yeah.
And then he asked him what kind of fruit fans should bring next, because fans actually brought oranges last night and had bananas and oranges up at the glass for him. And then
Wow.
he answered by saying, like, I'm going to check my fridge and see what I need, and then I'll tell the
Yeah.
fans or something like that. Like,
I heard that. Yo, I'm actually really surprised that the security at Rogers Arena is just like, yeah, bring it in, bring it in. I guess you're allowed to bring food in if it's for the kids, I guess, right? Because I remember when my
yeah,
parents used to take you
yeah,
to
yeah.
like Grizzly games and even Canuck games way back in the day, like they'd find a way to use me as the reason why they're bringing food from the outside. Yeah. So maybe that's why they're allowed to bring food in and actually give it to these players. And what a nice dude, bro. You know what, bro? I know this is a Canucks show. It's not about philosophy and whatnot, but bro, we're so lucky to be here, man. We're so lucky to be breathing. You know what I'm saying? Lucky to be living in Canada. Bro, smile. Try your best to smile. Try your best to be grateful. And I think that's what Kuzmenko is doing. He's just super, super grateful. And I don't think that means he's not as serious as he should be. It's just a part of his personality trait. And bro, come on. I don't think anyone is knocking him on being serious. I'm just saying, I think we should allow him to always be like this. Even if he's like not scoring in like 6 games and he's still smiling. I hope the media or the fans, don't ridicule him. Just let him be. This is who's been raised to be. And the world needs more people like that because again, he's pretty much showing gratefulness, 24/7. And that's a beautiful thing, man. Be grateful today, okay? Be thankful for the things you do have. I know you want more in life, but just again, start there. Be thankful for what you do have.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, these guys make a lot of money to fire a puck into a net. So it's important to be grateful and, you know, have some fun with it. Don't take it too seriously, even though, you
Mhm.
know, there can be a lot of pressure, right? When media is on you and fans are on you. A couple
Yeah.
things I wanted to bring up quick about Kuzmenko. You know, he was among players who have scored 30 goals in their first 63 career games since the lockout. He's among some pretty elite company. Only 5 players have done it before him. They are Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Austin Matthews, and Patrick. So what is
Patrick
that?
who? You cut out
Four.
a bit. Patrick what?
Patrick Laine.
Okay. Good, good,
So
good.
that's 4 first overall picks, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I think they're all top 2 picks though, right? I can't remember if Malkin's first or second overall. I think he's second actually.
To Ovechkin, right?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, exactly. So again, you got 5 players who are top 2 picks in the NHL draft, and then you have the undrafted Andrei Kuzmenko. Yeah, I know he's 27 years old. Yeah, I know he's not eligible for the Calder, but who cares, man? He is a rookie in this league, and he is getting it done. There's
Mhm.
one other stat I wanted to throw at you real quick, and that is only 16 players in NHL history have scored 40 goals in their first season. Now Kuzmenko
Wow.
has 30 goals in 63 games. There's 18 games left. Could he score 10 goals in his next 18 games? I mean, he's not far off that pace. So I know he's not going to get into the record books, which is stupid. If you look at the Canucks history books, like Ivan Halenka, who 30-something-year-old rookie is in the record books, but I'm not seeing Kuzmenko's name in there, and it is
Ooh.
up to date to this year.
Ooh.
So I think
Yeah.
it's a travesty, and I get why they don't want guys 26 and older winning the Calder, blah, blah, blah. But put some
Yeah.
respect on Andrei Kuzmenko's name. Just get him in the record books because he's doing some unreal stuff this season for your Vancouver Canucks.
He really is. He really is. And I know we have to get to break really soon here. And I'll say this again. Well, I don't think I've said this before actually, but I'll say it now. Kuzmenko is just he's a real mother father for real. He's one of those guys because it wasn't that long ago where Taka came in and he benched this dude. And I think it was like consecutive games. And this is like a week or two after they signed him to the extension. So it was confusing. And for some people, especially with the level of skill that Kuzmenko has, that could be taken the wrong way. And especially because he was having a good season prior to that as well. Yet he has done the most to learn from it. And I know the Canucks are facing like bottom dweller teams going, finishing off the season, and even yesterday was against the Ducks, blah, blah, blah. But for him to face that level of scrutiny from the new head coach right away and then bounce back this quick, it shows another level of professionalism. And this is on top of having all this personality. You know what I'm saying? So this dude could be pretty special for the Canucks for a long time, or just the NHL for a long time, for real.
Yeah, like you said, a real mother father. That was just the perfect description right there.
For real.
Yeah, speaking of kind of getting into the record books, there's another Canuck who is on the verge of getting into the record books as well. And I'm going to tell you about that briefly. But first, I need to tell you that the midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There, you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores to threes drained. You know what, Kyle? My Portland Trail Blazers, they lost last night, okay? They lost the ball to the Celtics, but Damian Lillard keeps piling up the points. And if you're like me and you're confident in Lillard scoring while the Trail Blazers keep losing, well, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for chance at a bigger payout with same-game parlays. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Great. Trevor, make those bets and feed your family, for real. Beautiful.
Yeah, don't listen to what I told you to bet on yesterday's episode. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay.
You can't always be right, you know. I think if you're betting on sports and you are right 55% of the time, like, you're a rock star. Honestly, it ain't easy out there. So, use your game sense, as they say here on those BC advertisements, and be smart. Be smart, okay? Don't be blowing all that cash, unless you're Elias Pettersson, because this dude is about to get paid, and I think he can add to his resume the fact that he is just a shorthanded scoring dynamo. So last night, he sets up JT Miller for a shorthanded tally. It was the third shorthanded goal that they've combined for in the past 3 games. And there was an unreal stat that I tweeted out last night. Pettersson has a positive goal differential shorthanded since Rick Tocchet took over. He's been on the ice for 6 goals for and 5 goals against at 4-on-5. Think about that. He's been on the ice for 6 goals scored and 5 goals against while the team is shorthanded. What does this guy do? It's unbelievable. I want to say a bit of it is puck luck for sure. I believe I was chatting with Thomas Drance in the booth last night. I think he said something like the Canucks have scored 8 shorthanded goals this season on 14 shots. Their shorthanded shooting percentage is pretty high, but this team does have
that's always the case. Like when we're talking about if we're gonna bring in shooting percentage when it comes to scoring shorthanded goals, I feel like that shooting percentage will always be high because you're not really getting a lot of shots.
I agree, and I'd be curious to dig into it because I think like 8 for 14 is high. It's unrealistically high.
Okay.
I know there's probably higher shooting percentages shorthanded because it is odd man rushes for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems a bit crazy. But I did want to bring up a couple things on this point. One is that Pettersson now has 8 shorthanded points on the season. He is in sole possession of first overall in the NHL in terms of shorthanded points. That's something no Canuck done before. Pavel Bure and Russ Courtnall have both tied for first overall in terms of shorthanded points, but no Canuck has had sole possession of first overall in shorthanded points. He also has the most shorthanded points in the NHL since 2018-19. No player has registered 8 shorthanded points since 2018-19.
Whoa.
And that was the guys who did it were Mark Jankowski, who had 8, and Michael Grabner, who had 9. I think he had like 6 or 7 shorthanded goals that season.
The Islanders, right?
Arizona Coyotes.
Okay.
Arizona Coyotes that year. Yeah. So what Pettersson's doing, again, pretty crazy. But I did want to ask you, Kyle, are Pettersson and Miller actually good penalty killers? Or are they just putting up points?
Well, I think they're good penalty killers compared to what this team has done in recent history and what their lineup has done in recent history when killing penalties. They're just going to look good. I think Pettersson, I'll say this about Pettersson. I think I'm not surprised because, again, his level of tenacity is underappreciated league-wide because, people are not staying up to watch Canucks games. But again, we've said this already on the show many times. His effort level is top-notch. There's not a lot of players in the NHL that work harder than Elias Pettersson. He's got that offensive touch as well. And just the way he reads the game, he's able to do a lot more than other players. He's able to close up gaps quicker, and he's able to do things like he did yesterday when he knocked down that puck from behind the net. The goalie, I forgot the dude's name, but this guy took a full shot around the boards. He didn't fan on that. But Pettersson's able to knock that puck out of midair and even kind of mess up on the pass, but still get it to Miller, and boom, bam, it's a goal.
Yeah.
I am not surprised because Pettersson is an outlier type of player. I'll say this too. I don't watch players like Matthews every day and Mitch Marner and Draisaitl and all that stuff. So I don't know if those players are working as hard as Elias Pettersson, but Pettersson's about to enter that category again. He's back there. He's back there. He was there in year one, and now he's back there for sure over the last 14 months, 15 months. This dude is top 7, top 8 in NHL, probably in the way he's been playing. Maybe if you add up the points, he's up there too. Now he's killing penalties, and he's just playing a lot more hockey as well, and that's another reason why the Canucks are winning games, because he's just on the ice more, for real.
Yeah, fair enough.
And JT Miller, answer that for me, because you're at the game yesterday. You get to watch it closer. This is the dude who's been playing better defensively for a little bit now, for real. He has been, whether it be under Tocchet or just before Tocchet came in. Now he's killing penalties with Patterson. I mean, I feel as if there's not a lot of people trash talking Miller in his defensive game anymore, for real.
Yeah, I will say shorthanded, despite the fact that Pettersson and Miller are creating offense and scoring goals, I do think the game needs some more refinement. I still think they're both a little too aggressive shorthanded, Miller in particular. Last night there was only 2 power plays. I think it was one of those games where both teams played at half speed. I think the refs weren't calling penalties. Everyone just wanted to go home. It was not a good hockey game last night. But yeah, I think in general, what I'm seeing from Miller and Pettersson shorthanded is they're still just too aggressive. There needs to be some refinement there. So despite the fact that they're putting up points, if you look at their expected goals against at 4-on-5, here's where they rank among 343 NHLers during that time span. Pettersson ranks 303rd in terms of expected goals against, and Miller's 327th.
Whoa.
So they're both at the bottom of the league in terms of expected goals against, and that kind of matches what I'm seeing. Maybe they're not as bad as what I'm seeing. But yeah, I think they're still too aggressive. They're still getting scored on. They're still giving up chances, but it's just being overshadowed by this offensive breakout shorthanded.
Yeah. No, it is. And who knows if they're in it for the long haul as penalty killers for the Vancouver Canucks. And who knows if they actually get the full 82 as the PK unit 3 or 4, or 1 or 2 next season. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's a good thing for the fundamentals and practice habits for those two to be playing shorthanded and scoring goals shorthanded, because I don't know if the players are really analyzing or micro-analyzing the data like that, but they see these two doing their thing shorthanded when it comes to putting up goals, and it can kind of find a way to trickle down towards the lineup. Like, oh, crap, our best players, the players who get paid the most, who are in the top 6, our top 2 centers, put up all these points, they're also doing this, and that's what it's going to take to win. It's not going to be Connor Bedard. It's going to be the practice habits and the fundamentals, man.
The fundamentals. Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about 2 guys on yesterday's episode, Niels Oman and Dakota Joshua, who I'd like to see get that, PK1 opportunity and face that stiff competition. That way you're not playing Miller and Pettersson, 59 minutes tonight, which it seems like the Canucks are doing right now. But we'll see if those guys get a chance for the end of the year. And if you didn't hear us talk about Dakota Joshua and Niels Oman, go check out yesterday's episode of Locked On Canucks. We got one more segment to get to, and it's kind of a new thing I want to debut. Since I was at the game last night, you have that eagle eye in the media booth. I want to talk about a couple of jersey fouls, and I like the alliteration, so I'm going to call it jersey jesting. That's coming up next on Locked On Canucks. We're back on Locked On Canucks. I'm Trevor Beggs. He's Kyle Bowen. So jersey jesting. Okay, working title. Okay, so we're in our first full week of Locked On Canucks. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. But there's 3. We'll call it jersey fouls I saw last night.
Why don't you just call it that? Jersey fouls. Why do you got to call it jersey jet? Why don't you call it jersey fouls?
Because, yeah, I don't know. So one of these I felt bad about calling a jersey foul. It just kind of caught my eye. I'm like, dude, you got that jersey? Really? It wasn't
Ah,
really a jersey foul. So jersey jesting is more like a
okay,
playful way of like jesting is
okay,
like a playful way of making fun of something. Jersey
okay,
foul is like just don't do that.
okay.
So
I like it. I like it. You're a nice guy. You know,
yeah,
Canadian. Okay,
nice
cool.
guy begs you. Okay, nice
Okay,
guy
okay,
begs
cool.
you.
Continue.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with number 3, and this one wasn't quite what you were predicting in terms of a jersey jest or a jersey foul. But right beside the penalty box last night in row 1, there was an Oilers fan wearing an Oilers jersey, which I still don't get, man. Why do you wear your Oilers jersey, your Boston jersey to Canucks games when the other team's not there? It's weird. So it was an Oilers jersey, person in an Oilers jersey, and a person in a Ducks jersey. And at first, like, when the Canucks went to the penalty box in the first period, this Oilers fan's like up and chirping the Canuck in the penalty box and standing and going like blah on the glass. I'm like, what is this a-hole doing? And then when the Canucks scored later in the game, the guy's up and cheering. I was like, what the hell is
Whoa.
going on?
Dude, this guy's having a good time, bro. This guy's living a good life. Maybe he is an Oilers fan, or maybe he's got a closet full of jerseys and he just loves hockey. And he happens to have a good amount of FU money in his bank account, so he has season tickets, and he's just just watching games. It's 7 o'clock in the city that he's in. He can watch a game. Why not? Maybe he's doing that, or maybe it was a Chris Pronger jersey, and him
Ooh, that's
and
interesting. Yeah, I,
his homie were like,
yeah,
"Yo,
I don't
let's do
know.
this."
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, my theory too is that there are a lot of casual fans, and they're probably not listening to this episode, but there are casual fans out there, and they're in my family, um, who just will cheer for any Canadian team, and don't understand why you wouldn't just cheer for every Canadian team. And I
Mhm.
think I would imagine most people listening don't feel that, and I certainly don't feel that way. You will never catch me cheering for the Oilers, the Flames, or the Leafs. Uh, Two more Jersey Jets I want to bring up. One
But you're
was
gonna
I
cheer for the Kraken. Come on, man. Tell the listeners you just ordered a Kraken jersey. Let's tell them.
No, no. All I said was
Tell
I
'em.
would rather see the Kraken win a playoff rather
Yeah,
than the Leafs. I'm
yeah.
not cheering for the Kraken. Okay, I don't want to see the Kraken succeed.
Okay,
Um, I spotted a Sven Baertschi jersey last night.
cool.
I was kind of surprised by that, and I pointed out to a couple of guys in the booth who were equally surprised. But the worst one from last night, the winner of our first edition of the Jersey Jest, someone had a Jason Dickinson jersey.
Ooh.
Someone paid money for a Jason Dickinson jersey. Now, granted, from the eagle eye in the media booth, it looked like a knockoff, so they weren't spending all that full money on it. But
Mhm.
that was still a choice that person made to buy a Jason Dickinson jersey.
Maybe their last name is Dickinson too. Maybe like was it a girl? Was it another dude? Maybe it
No,
was a
it
partner.
looked like it looked like a guy.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Jason
that's got to be
Dickinson
like
was
one of the most
yeah,
disappointing jersey purchases out there. I know I've
100%.
got some buddies, and I don't know. Have you bought any jerseys you regret before, Kyle?
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
me neither. I've only bought a couple of jerseys, and I think the only one with the number I've ever bought is a Henrik Sedin one. I'm not a big like spend a couple $100s on a jersey kind of person.
You will be soon though, man, because you're gonna be a rich man. Okay, FanDuel's got your back, and Locked On Canucks got your back, and the people got your back too. Okay, the more subscriptions we get, the more Trevor can do for himself. Bexy deserves it. You heard it first, man. He's a nice, good old Canadian dude, and let's make sure Trevor can buy a jersey with the name on the back. Are we too old for that though? Because some people like chirp for that now. It's like you're a 30-year-old man. I'm a 30-year-old man soon. I know you're not 30 yet, right? Are you 30? What's your birthday?
No, you turned 31st, man.
I turned 31st, right? Because you turned
Yeah,
30 in July.
yeah.
July. I turned 31st. So people are kind of weird on that too. Like, what you're buying you're buying a jersey with a number on the back and you're 30 years old and the dude's like 21 who's on your back. I don't think it's weird at all, man. People take life way too seriously, dude.
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on it for the most part. I think it's fine. I'm not sure if I would do it though, to be honest with you. Maybe leave us a comment.
Okay.
Let us know if it is okay to buy a jersey of someone younger than you.
So what? You're not
Me and
gonna
Kyle
you
don't
never
judge,
bought
man. Me and Kyle don't judge, but we want to hear your thoughts
oh
on the matter.
actually since you're a part-time media guy, dude, it's probably cringe for you to rock a jersey, right?
Oh, I don't care. I'm not rocking it to the booth, but
No, not to the booth. Even like, what if you're at the Canuck game and you're just in the stands and you were rocking the
I
jersey?
couldn't care less, man. I'm still a Canuck
Uh,
fan. I don't care.
oh, okay, good, man, good, dude. All right, there you go, man. Part-time media member Trevor Baggs is still a full-time Canucks fan. Okay, he's not doing it for the paycheck. He's doing it for you. All right, for real. the listener, the viewer of this show right here, and just the listener and viewer of everything Trevor Baggs, who covers the Canucks very well. He's doing it for you and the team. For real. Beautiful, man.
And what Kyle meant to say is we're doing it for you. And we want to thank you for making Locked On Canucks your first listen every day. Now make your second listen game to game, Locked On NHL. Every moment, every performance, every result. Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across Locked On NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL. Available on Audacity, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Kyle, until next time. And you, thanks for listening. Until next time.
Let me say one more thing, okay? Let me say one more thing. We got some new background music here. It says that we're allowed to play this stuff. Let me try this. What? Oh. It's not that great. I just want to say, be grateful today. Be thankful. Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.